okay, the new. It's brilliant. Oh, that sounds fantastic. Stop, we must need a wee drink of juice and a biscuit.
Okay, well, thank you, Katie, for being with us today.
Of course.
Katie, I love the Scottish, any Scottish accent. Do people generally have that reaction to you when they hear you? They're like, oh, I love your accent.
Yeah, like, people think it's a lot friendlier if I'm speaking to people, or I've worked at Edinburgh Fringe before where I was just flying for a comedian, and so many people I'd like hand them the flyers and they'd be like, oh, you're actually from here? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm Scottish. And they were like, oh, we'll definitely see it then. So it's like a lot more trustworthy.
Yeah.
It comes across anyway.
I noticed actually when you phone, if you have a problem and you phone customer services, whether it's for a services like a gas or electric problem, or if it's with your phone, usually when you call the customer service, it's going to be a Scottish accent on the other end of the phone, and that's because it generally puts people at ease.
We're quite relaxing, apparently. Although I don't think that. If I hear like other accents, or like even if my dad's speaking, I'm like, how is anybody finding this dead relaxing? Like, apparently it's something like funeral services, charities, and like insurance. Middle-aged Scottish men are meant to be the most reliable voices you can hear.
Wow.
And I'm like, definitely not. Yeah, definitely. I think I work in customer service quite a lot.
Of course.
So especially in London, like you're working with people that are from everywhere. And if I'm being particularly lazy and dropping my T's and things like that, even just introducing myself as Katie,
right,
and like extending the A and the N, it's like, sorry, what are you saying? What are you actually trying to say to me? And I'm like, I'm Katie. And then like, Katie, sorry? And it's like 5 minutes and I've not done anything. So I'm like, Katie, it's Katie. Yeah, it kind of alters. Sometimes it's a case of just mimicking back what I say, or like, okay, the new is another classic, and I don't think I've ever said it in my life.
Have you ever heard a Scottish person saying okay the new?
No. Like, okay, aye, but no, definitely not. And it's the first thing. It's either, oh, are you Scottish or Irish?
Oh.
I'm Scottish, and then they're like, okay, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
And what does okay the new actually mean? Okay, so we don't use it, so we've got that, but what does it actually mean?
Like, yeah, the translation is like, oh yeah, just now. I suppose you'd be like, are you nearly finished? You coming for a drink? You'd be like, okay, the new, I'm coming in a minute.
Okay.
Sort of thing. But again, like, I wouldn't actually use it.
Right. So a little tip, if you ever meet anyone from Scotland, do not say to them, okay, the new.
There's definitely quite a big difference. I mean, part of my family's from Dundee anyway.
Right.
So that's a sort of clear difference there. But even my dad he's a lot thicker accent than I am, and is obviously still there, whereas I've moved now, and I have a Swedish boyfriend, and he's like, I can understand you, I can get there with your dad, I don't know what your nana's saying.
Oh, bless. So it's stronger the older the generation.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say that my dad is stronger than my mum.
Right.
Which is quite weird actually, because the same sort of working class, same area that they're brought up in. But yeah, my dad, he's just got a much more clipped Scottish accent, I'd say.
Usually an accent really depends not just on the area you're from, but also on the influences around you and like the music you listen to, what you watch on TV. There's so many things that will influence your accent. So you can take a whole cross-section of people from Glasgow and everyone will sound slightly different.
Definitely.
Because they have different influences. Is there a difference in dialect as well? Do you notice that your parents and grandparents use words that you never hear in your kind of age bracket? And do you say things now that your parents are like, what's that word mean?
Yeah, I think probably Probably more my parents say things that I don't say. Like my dad, and it's only my dad again, and I'm not even sure if it's particularly Glaswegian or what, but my dad sometimes says shri instead of three. And none of my other family say it. It's a really obscure thing, but he's got a few of them that are, I don't know if they're like lazier or...
So he says shri.
Shri. So 1, 2, shri.
So if you're a Glaswegian or from wherever you are in the world, if you say shri instead of three, then do comment down below and let us know. That's really, really bizarre.
So that's the weird one. I don't think I particularly have Scottish slangs that they don't use. I mean, I've tried to bring a few up north from down here, and my friends are like, don't say that.
No.
Don't say that. You can't say that.
So you obviously travel around a lot with your work and everything. Do you find that you have different situations in which your accent, you kind of tone it down or bring it up and it gets stronger? What scenarios are those?
Well, I noticed actually at drama school that I was toning it down quite a lot. Because it was turning into a wee bit of a joke. I was the only Scottish person on my course, and if I was asking something or trying to make a point, people were just mimicking my voice, and it was really frustrating.
I can
so
imagine.
I tended to like dumb it down a wee bit or like soften it when I was at acting school.
Bring, bring.
Hiya, it's Katie. Brilliant. Oh, that sounds fantastic. No, it's so good to be hearing from you. All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
You actually sounded like you slowed down a bit there. Is that just trying to be clearer?
Probably. Actually, yeah, probably. I probably do that because I'm so rarely on the phone to Scottish people now. So yeah, I didn't even realise that.
Do you know, because I do the high-pitched thing as well. If I'm taking a phone call from a loved one, generally if my boyfriend phones me, I'm like, hey babe, it's suddenly, I don't know why, but you go high pitched. It's like you want all the dogs to hear you or something. But I don't do the slowing down thing. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know.
What if you're talking to your family? Does that happen as well?
When I'm talking to my family, it gets really lazy.
Right.
We're quite lazy pronouncers in our family. So I think it's probably quite slow again, but just nothing's pronounced at all. And like if I'll be speaking to my little sister, she's also only like 14.
Right.
So she's in like the particularly lazy phase.
Yeah.
And sometimes, because I've had a bit of voice training at like drama school, Ali will be speaking and I'm like, can you just like articulate a wee bit more, please?
Stop mumbling.
Can you stop that? And then I'll be home for a week, or I'll have been speaking to my parents and I'm like, oh wow, my articulation's really dropped here.
When I go back to visit my family, they automatically accuse me of being posh.
Yep.
Because my accent has completely changed, even though I generally will switch back into my Lancashire accent when I'm with them. It's just like the natural wanting to fit in thing. And then when I come back from being up north, all my friends and my boyfriend down here are like, wow, you sound really northern.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So you just can't win.
No, you can. People up here are like, oh, it's such a thick accent you've got. And then I go home and they're like, oh, you sound so English.
Now, just to clarify, because some of you won't be aware, but when we say a thick accent, what we mean is a broader version or a stronger version of the accent. Because obviously the word thick can mean to be not very clever, but we're not saying that it sounds like a stupid accent. We're meaning a broad, strong accent.
If you were being like, oh, are you coming to the pub? No, I'm not going to bother the night.
The night?
The night, yeah.
Oh, I like that. And that's instead of tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
Okay.
And if it was just like an off the cuff, it would be a bit more nah.
Okay. For little, Scots people generally say...
We.
Do we say Scots people or Scottish people?
The Scots. I would refer
Scots.
to myself as a Scot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We.
So say we instead of...
Little.
And we... in England would be slang for a number one, which is also slang that you probably don't know, is to spend a penny, which is also an idiom to mean to urinate. You go for a wee, and that's generally, even though it's a slang term, it's used a lot, even sometimes in formal situations like, I don't really need a wee, where's the bathroom? It depends who you're talking to, of course, but do you use wee to mean to urinate?
Yeah.
So could you say, I just need a wee wee?
Yeah. There's actually a really good song that we would sing at school, and it would be like, stop the bus, I need a wee wee, stop the bus, I need a wee wee, stop the bus, I need a wee wee drink of juice and a biscuit.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, so you use them both.
Fantastic. Good. I'll have to remember that one. What does this word mean? Ouija.
A Ouija,
Ouija.
a Glaswegian, a Ouija.
Oh, okay. So you're a Glaswegian or a Ouija?
Yeah, although I think people not from Glasgow probably call them Ouijas more. I would say so.
Okay, so what other...
Other Scots.
Yeah, because
I
I've
think.
never heard Ouija. I've always heard
Really?
he's a Glaswegian, he's from Glasgow.
Yeah. Other places in Scotland will refer to you as being a Ouija.
Because I thought it was something like a wedgie, which is something completely different. A wedgie is when your underpants kind of go up your bottom a little bit and it's uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So when you're generally talking, when you say words like cannot, is not, was not, you don't say cannot, is not, was not, or isn't or wasn't. You say...
We say canny,
Uh-huh.
wasn't,
Yeah.
doesn't,
Doesn't for doesn't.
Isn't.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
And is that standard all the time?
No, it wouldn't be standard all the time.
You kind of mix and match, throw it
Yeah,
in when you want.
and if you are trying to like make a point with somebody, you'll hit the T's. You'll be like, don't, and or
Or
whatever.
he doesn't.
Yeah, and he doesn't. But if you're just like,
Relaxed conversation.
yeah, oh, wouldn't he go down while it's raining? I wouldn't go down while it's raining. Wouldn't he go? It's a very relaxed thing. I think
Okay.
it's the thing that we're probably best at is being a wee bit lazy,
Okay.
especially with each other, and if you're just at home with family or with friends and stuff in the pub, it's a lot more relaxed and we sort of cut everything.
Yeah. That's nice. I like it. I think we should introduce that across the board. Okay. Pure. Say
Pure.
pure. If something's pure,
Pure.
fantastic, or
Pure dead brilliant. That's
pure dead brilliant. So I know dead because we use dead in Manchester. That's dead good.
Yeah.
You'd say that means it's very. That's dead good. It means it's very good. So, but pure also means very, right?
Yeah, kinda.
So
It's
pure
sort of-
dead brilliant is very, very good.
Yeah, we're a bit fickle. Things will mean something in one phrase, but then not mean it in a
So
different one.
context can change it.
Yeah, but pure dead brilliant's quite a well-known one.
Okay, I've never heard it.
Or pure mental.
Pure mental. So that means really, really crazy.
Yeah, or pure belter.
In a good way.
This is the thing. It can be both. So pure belter can be what an idiot. Like, you're a pure belter, by the way.
Wow.
Or it can be like really funny. That was pure belter. Like, so yeah, the same phrase can go
Have
in.
two meanings.
Pure's just a bit more of a.
Just
like
gives it
an-
exaggeration.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting. I'm assuming that this next phrase is a little bit harsh, but to shut your geggy.
Shut your geggy.
What
Yeah.
does that mean?
Stop talking.
Just shut your
Yeah,
mouth.
just talking nonsense. Shut your geggy. Shut your mouth.
Does that mean that you use geggy? So geggy obviously in this context means mouth. Does that mean you use geggy just to talk about mouth? Or would you say like I burnt my geggy? Would you use it in any other way?
Not potentially in the past.
But not now.
Like, I think my nana might, but generally speaking, it sort of fits in with that
Just
phrase.
that phrase.
Shut your geggy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's offensive, right? You wouldn't tell your friend to shut the geggy.
Well, see, this is the thing, right? So it is offensive as an adult. If I was to say it to somebody now, it would be quite like derogative, like shut up. But it's what my parents would say to me when I was little instead of shut up.
Okay.
So it would be like quite a friendly way to tell you to be quiet. Like, oh,
Okay.
shut your geggy.
So it depends how familiar
Yeah.
you are, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What does greeting mean? Like, it sounds like to greet someone.
So greeting is crying. To
Okay.
be crying, you're greeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd say I accidentally shut my brother's fingers in the car door by accident, honest, and now he's pure greeting.
Now he's pure greeting. Yeah.
Hey.
And I don't know if this is of any interest, but because I've got a Swedish boyfriend, greeting and bra, which means good in Scotland,
Bra.
are also really close to the Swedish words for the same things.
That's interesting.
So I think it's like a really clear Viking link. Like bra is good in Swedish and good in Scottish.
So
and
interesting.
Grotta in Swedish is crying, and greeting in Scottish is crying.
Okay, so yeah, you can definitely see a link there.
So there's like weird similarities that I've only just found out. But yeah, greeting, crying.
I love how language comes about. A lot of the time I've noticed that the Glaswegian friends that I've got, or the Ouija friends I've got, say how instead of why quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really across the board Scottish one, actually. How instead of why, like, oh, I'm getting the train to come and see you at 2 o'clock and not 3 o'clock. I'd be like, oh, how? And it would be, how are you coming on the train?
Yeah.
It would be like, why? Or how no? Why not? How no?
Okay.
How you know coming? So
That's
how
interesting.
instead of why is a very across the board Scottish thing. My family all over say that.
Okay. I've heard this quite a lot. General fizzy pop drinks. You refer to as ginger?
Yep. So
Or is it a specific drink? Is it the Iron Brew is quite...
So some people call Iron Brew ginger.
Uh-huh.
Some people just call fizzy drinks ginger. My particular family call fizzy drinks fizzy juice.
Okay.
So I'd call Coke and Sprite and things fizzy juice.
Fizzy juice.
But I have friends that call it ginger.
Wow, okay. Because in my experience, we call juice is anything that's squeezed directly from the fruit. So orange juice, pineapple juice, it's fresh juice from the fruit.
Yep.
Pop, I grew up in Manchester, so pop for me would be anything that's fizzy, like, you know, any kind of soda or you know, like Coca-Cola, Sprite, that kind of thing. And ginger would specifically be like ginger ale or something that has ginger in it. Okay. What does this mean? I think this is probably another offensive one. Away and Bailia Heed.
One Bailia Heed is another one, and it's just like you're talking rubbish or you're doing my head in, driving me mad. Away and Bailia Heed, like away and boil your head, essentially.
Wow.
It's the direct translation for that one.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just you're an idiot, you're talking rubbish, away and boil your head.
That sounds really harsh.
Yeah, I was thinking that, looking at a bit of Scottish slang before coming in, I was like, we're brutes, really. But we say it like...
No messing with us.
Exactly.
Okay, now what grabbed my attention particularly about the protests in Scotland were the very interesting signs that the protesters had up. And a lot of what was written on the signs we can't discuss because it's not family friendly at all. But there was one word that kept coming up, and I thought this was possibly just about on the cusp of okay, and it's the word ball bag. What is a ball bag?
Well, a ball bag is just, well, it's a really good insult. For one, to be a ball bag. But I mean, the direct translation, it's part of a man's genitalia.
Yeah, it's testicles.
Yeah.
It's the scrotum, is that what we call it?
Yeah,
it's a ball bag is what we would say, but you replace the double L with the W, ball bag.
A ball bag, which makes it sound, I don't know, maybe it doesn't. I think it makes it sound a bit more
friendly.
PC.
Yeah, I agree. I think Scottish
it.
people can get away with swearing much more than English people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can.
You make it sound, when you do swear, you make it sound more fun and bouncy and just well-rounded.
We're really good at swearing.
Okay, so just a couple more here. What does buttoned up the back, what's that?
So being buttoned up the back, again, is calling you stupid. So,
lots of different ways to call people stupid.
We love it. We just love it. Being buttoned up the back. You could always...
It's like a straight jacket maybe, or you've got your shirt on the wrong way around?
See, I always took it as like almost like a teddy bear, like you're literally buttoned up the back, there's nothing in you. But could also be that. I would use it as, you know, like I don't know what the other phrases are for it, but when you're a bit thick, I would always use it as buttoned up the back. You're just stupid.
Okay. And taps off?
Taps off.
Taps off.
Taps off.
Right.
It's as soon as there's any sort of sun anywhere in Scotland, taps off.
Wow.
Honestly, and it's hilarious if you're walking down a high street. Anybody that remotely works in construction, anybody that like does
Outdoors.
manual labour, taps off.
Is
It's
that
great.
girls and boys?
No, it tends to be boys.
Yeah.
Tends to be the men. But yeah, you'll see it at like 10 o'clock in the morning at like the Greg's Cafe. Taps off. Sun's
Wow.
out, taps off.
And that should bring me on to Pure Baltic. I have heard this before. It's about the weather, the temperature.
It is. So Pure Baltic is absolutely freezing.
Okay.
Pure Baltic.
So if it's Pure Baltic, you wouldn't be tops off.
We would not be taps off if it was Pure Baltic.
But a bit thicker skinned in Scotland. I think what I would consider to be cold might be a tops off kind of situation.
Yeah, see, taps off isn't even necessarily about the heat. It's like if you can see the sun somewhere in the sky.
It's
like,
there,
taps off.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. I'm going to leave it at that. We could go on forever about Scottish dialect because there is so much and it's really, really interesting. Guys, if you are from Scotland and you have any additional dialect that you think is essential that we know, keep it family friendly, please. Do put it down in the comment section below. A big thank you once again for joining us. And how would you say goodbye in Scotland?
I don't know, just like see you later.
See you later.
See you later.
Okay, well, guys, see you later. Bye-bye.